I'm very excited to have my friends Chris and Tess in the new Back to the City space with me, talking about their new project, No Kim. How did we get so far is a lyric in the opening track on their CASSINGLE. I like that word. The opening track is Rock and Roll History, but here we are right at the beginning of No Kim.
Yeah.
Starting with the name, which is also the name of the CASSINGLE.
Yes. Yes.
First of all, I thought of a lack of Kim, and then and then I thought a demand for Kim to be lacking. So Kim, you shouldn't do this thing. No Kim. Are either of those ideas present in the name, or how did you come up with the name?
Someone asked me if it was no Kim, like boycotting Kim Kardashian.
Ah.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But I guess you should have with like social media. She's like millions and millions of followers. It didn't even cross my
being
mind.
associated with it, we would have.
It would not have made, yeah. But we were like drunk at a bar in Chicago and talking about names and vibes.
Good place to be.
It's not
good place to
be.
be. Like
We come up with a lot of good ideas.
When drunk and/or in Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. And we were just talking about kind of vibes and what we wanted, and we wanted some ambiguity with it, and the songs that we had so far, how they felt to us, and they kind of embodied this like bleakness and femininity, and that's the name we came up with. Is that a bad explanation?
No, it's not. But there was like, I remember an incarnation where it was like referencing, you were talking about this Japanese term, but it was no Kimi, N-O-K-I-M-I.
Yes.
And it was like princess like.
Okay.
And we just kind of edited that, and I think it made sense.
Yeah.
After it sounded like, and also it sounded a little more punk.
Yeah.
Which always is good.
Then no, it sounds more punk than.
Then no Kimmy.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's not as like saccharine.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harsher.
Yeah. So.
And my mom's birth mom, her name is Kim.
Ah,
Yeah.
Speaking of your mum, and speaking of the kind of the dark sound and how to describe the band, some of the terms used to describe the previous project, Murder Shoes, were of course surf goth noir to begin with, and punkish surf pop. And Tess, you highlighted that your mum, when she would come to the show, she would say, I don't know what any of these terms mean.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
But Drew, I think apparently Drew from Blansky Records was responsible for those terms.
Yeah.
Surf goth is not what No Kim is. No, is or
I would not call it surf.
no, I would not. Yeah. With a stretch, whatever that term means, you'd have to stretch it quite far.
Yeah.
So, when Ali Jafar put out Fool, which is of course the final Murder Shoes record that came out after the band. Disbanded. Yeah. He highlighted that there was a move away from the aquatic and 60s indebted sound that tied together the earlier works. I find it interesting, that word aquatic, because the opening lyric on this CASSINGLE is an ocean of you, and it does sound oceanic or aquatic, with all the reverb. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think it's definitely like slower moving.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and I think there's space and expansiveness. I think that we, going from 5 people to 2 is much easier to, it's easier to accomplish space and control the movement more of a song. Yeah. When there's less people involved, and I think that was just naturally what happens when you are just writing 2 people. You know, I think.
What is the significance of space and of the spaciness of No Kim?
I don't know if it's like a reaction to being in a fuller, like in a 5-piece.
Yeah.
Like everyone kind of fits in like a little thing here and there, and to make this greater whole.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
And then if there's like 5 people putting things in, then it's going to there's going to be less space.
It gets filled up pretty quick. But I think things that we I don't know, her voice is just this. It's so beautiful, and to crowd it too much is a shame. So I think that's something we've been striving for with these newer songs. And I've always liked to complement her voice with my guitar, and so it's not overplaying and trying to like just be like sort of cradle that.
Oh, that's a good metaphor. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So.
Wait until I compliment your voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think a lot of your Chris wrote that song, the lyrics.
Yes.
And I think
it's a rock and roll history.
Yeah. And you have a lot of water imagery in the way that you write.
Well, I've spent a lot of time around water. I've like. I lived in Seattle for a period of time. Growing up in Minnesota, you're around water all the time. My dad used
Thousand Lakes.
Yeah. My dad used to live in Georgia, and I've just been around the oceans a lot and spent a lot of time, and it's always impacted me, and I just have all this like sort of sense memory of water, and I think it's easy to call on, for different moods. You know? So it just comes to me naturally. I don't even like think about it sometimes.
Yeah. So you think through the vehicle of the water, like in terms of the metaphor then. So it comes naturally as a vehicle. But so do stars and satellites in the chorus. Do you even look at the stars and satellites?
Yeah.
So how is that sitting alongside, the water imagery? And also sonically, the idea of space kind of fits, the being space fits with this lyrical emphasis on the satellites and the stars. So it's an interesting relationship, I think, between like the ocean and the stars and space.
I don't know if it's just like what is immediately present and then what is something that's maybe more
it's like omnipresent, but
but not always recognized. So I don't know, if you're standing in water, you obviously notice the water, but maybe I don't know. This is going very literal, but
you're so immersed in the water.
You're more. That's more of an immersive like sense thing, and like you have to recognize it.
I also feel like that song's about trying to have perspective and trying to be aware about you and your life, but also your surroundings and how those things like are bigger than you. And so I think that song is talking about, it has the water as the imagery, maybe more immediate, but then also looking up and looking out and trying to find something maybe bigger than yourself within that. So I feel like that's where the stars and satellites.
Absolutely.
So one's surrounding, so one's say that's great. So there's an emphasis on one's surroundings and one's place in a particular space, very broadly construed, like looking up at the stars, but also on one's place in time, with it being called rock and roll history. Why is it called rock and roll history? It's like both the emphasis on history and the emphasis on rock and roll.
I don't know. I really don't.
we discussed changing the name of the song a lot.
But
rock and roll history is stuck. It's a good title, isn't it?
I think there was a point where we thought it was too, I don't want to say audacious, but like too just like
everything.
Like what is it, like too loaded of a thing?
It's pretty loaded, but I think in the sense talking about like recognizing where you are and trying to have perspective on it. I think the idea of rock and roll history, it's like a legacy.
Yeah.
So instead of like working to like living your day-to-day life to create a legacy, instead of doing that, like living your day-to-day life.
Yes.
Presently. Yeah. So I think to me that's where like rock and roll history plays into that song.
Yeah.
So instead of like living for the future or past, just trying to live with the current perspective.
Yeah, and it's immediately followed by holding breath back and forth in my mind, which seems to be a kind of call for like being there in the present, being like bodily there. Like, once the emphasis on like this, you said about when you're talking about water, about like this sensation.
Yeah, immersive sense.
Yeah. So being there in one's body and like being like attentive. There seems to be that kind of emphasis.
Yeah.
So you talked about the working title, and this is a very tasty broth that's cooked up by the two of you. The working method for Murder Shoes you were highlighting before was that, of course, there were 3 songwriters. So and there would often be multiple songs with the same name. Is there just one rock and roll history and one lullaby?
Kind of.
Well, there's 2 lullabies. There's like,
There's
can never be too many lullabies.
Well, There's multiple versions of the songs because the demos are very different from the ways that these mastered tracks turned out.
Oh, interesting.
Lullabye started as like an actual lullaby that he would sing to me.
Oh, really?
And it was
with
really,
no intention of it becoming a song.
No, but it was just a sweet song. Like you write songs for your partners to be sweet, and it was a sweet song. And then I was like, oh damn, this song's
That's a
really
good song.
good.
Can we share it with the world?
And then it ended up being totally rewritten. Like if you heard the song side by side, you wouldn't probably recognize.
Yeah, it's like
they're very different.
Yeah, it like let's put it in major key, and then like
the lyrics stayed the same.
They got
almost.
They got tweaked a little bit, but it is definitely from my perspective. So this happened in our previous band when I'm writing from my perspective and she's singing the lyrics. Yeah. And so there's always this
co-mingling.
Do you care as much about the pronoun? Like, is that as important?
Right.
To get the message across or not? Or is it just this feeling?
Yeah. So. Especially because you're addressing this to Tess as well.
I don't know if that's meta or what. I don't know what that is.
Or vain.
It might be vain. It might be
for
vain.
me.
It might be vain.
Solipsistic.
Yeah, exactly. But I think ultimately we decided that the pronouns just don't matter. And what we're doing, especially with like no Kim, ultimately the pronouns themselves don't matter. And what we're trying to do is separate from that. Yeah. Like those boxes.
The emotion and the feeling is greater than getting hung up on.
That whose feeling it is.
Yeah.
Because it's shareable.
Yeah.
Although it's perhaps not too late if you want to make a last minute addition before everyone else, before you put out like a single, you could change it to Chris knows that Tess will always be true.
I thought you were going to say always be right. And I was like, yes. That too.
That's just my suggestion.
Yeah. It's good.
But you were highlighting like ambiguity before, like with reference to the name, and into that chorus of Lullabye, there was an interesting relationship with the chorus of Little Lost, where I don't know. There's different ways in which one can interpret that, and even just sonically, when one hears it, one doesn't know whether it's like no is in knowledge or no is in no Kim. Yeah, and something similar is happening here. I think I know you will always be true, and I know you. Just the lack of the will always be true. That could mean so many different things. I know you could mean so many different things.
Simon, I love that you're like an English teacher.
Yeah.
And then you like dissect all these things. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you very much. So it's interesting. It's especially interesting because it began as just an address, like to embarrass Chris again. That's interesting that a lullaby would highlight like knowledge of like the loved person.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in a lullaby, traditionally I think it's for like a little baby, right?
Yeah.
So you want the baby to feel really comfortable, right? You want this baby to know that it's safe to go to sleep.
To know that it's known and seen.
Yeah, that it's like that you will wake up again, and that I'll be here, and that you'll be loved, and that's it, and
And you're the baby.
And you're the baby.
I'm the giant baby. So.
That's being known and paid attention to.
Yes.
And now the audience at the Kitty Cat Klub on Wednesday can be the giant baby. Yes. That the entity that is No Kim knows and will be there for.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we don't lull you to sleep at the show, but
we got enough loud noises too.
Yeah, so we've got these two songs on the single.
Yes.
How representative are rock and roll history and Lullabye of No Kim?
It's this definitely this first, like, I don't know, what is it, 8 tunes? They are definitely setting a vibe, and it is very much, I think, represented by these two.
Yeah.
And I think these felt like just that, that they were representational. And I think that's why we chose those to record first.
Yes.
And it was also a new format, a new formula, slightly different instrumentation.
What's the main difference?
The main
instrumentation
is that that I'm recording live drums, sampling them, and then putting them into a sequencer and like doing this whole like mixing electronic and live drums.
Yeah.
Over like a programmer. So.
Yeah. And on the private SoundCloud, the image is the music production station.
Yeah, the Electribe.
Yeah. Will that be? Is that gonna?
That's part of the live setup. Yeah.
And that will be artwork. Will it for the release?
That's just part of the private streaming thing.
That's just part of our inconsistencies that we.
That's
sent
a special.
to you. Yeah.
That's a special thing for me.
Yeah.
Well, this is the image that I saw.
Yeah.
And what's the significance of even though it's private and temporarily public?
Yeah.
What's the significance of that image? It's highlighting, drawing attention to the production.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially like it's a new thing to tackle for both of us. He's been doing all the production with it, but he's extremely proficient, a musician, and then getting this new thing. I mean, you learn it very fast, but there's a huge learning curve, and I think it surprised both of us. Being musically able people would be like, oh my god, this. Having something go from like very analog and tactile to be like it's like a computer and it's almost abstract. It's still abstract to me.
So in fact, this is not the product of just two cooks. It's an amalgamation of the two human songwriters, and then the the Chris/music production station rhythm section.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally.
Which is like interesting in terms of so when you were describing the songwriting method before, the reason why there were multiple songs with the same name is because there would be like a name, and then the 3 songwriters would all write songs with that name.
Yep.
So you'd end up with like multiple Great Expectations, for example.
Yeah.
And then the entity of 3 would get together and work on those, and then that would be then the song would kind of transform again, and then it would be brought to the rhythm section.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens now?
I always write on this like classical guitar. It's just pretty much every song I've ever written has been on that.
Right.
Like all of these songs.
Like an acoustic classical guitar?
Yeah, like a little classical like part of the guitar. Nylon string
nice.
Guitar.
Yeah.
It's always like there.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I pick it up, 5 times a day, and sometimes absolutely nothing happens, and sometimes the song comes out.
Yeah. Even the loud noises initially go through the medium of the nylon strings.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's still the process, for me. Like I still write kind of in that way where it's just me and a guitar. I work out the words and the melody and the spacing, and then that next step is basically how does this like now sit in this more electronic world.
Yeah.
Trying to be a bigger sound, and like how do we make and keep the emotion true and the meaning true, and how does it translate?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of that next step, that collaborative effort that we have together, because it'll be like I'll come up with this whole like sequence and I'll be and then it'll be like a lot because we're going from an acoustic guitar to all of a sudden all this, and then it's like sometimes that doesn't, and sometimes I get, sometimes it's like, no, this is not gonna rock.
So occasionally,
this sounds like a robot wearing boots walking through like a hip hop club. Like what is that? But then
sometimes Chris and the music production station have come up with their collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times it'll happen at like 5 a.m. and I'm asleep, and then I'll wake up and listen to it the next day, and I'll be like, "What did you do?"
It's just like you like
between singing the lullaby to you, then and you waking up.
It's just like hunched over my desk.
With his robot boots on.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to walk through the club.
Right.
But yeah, we both start out usually on acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
With like, chords and melody and like mostly lyrics.
Yeah, what are you doing when Chris is asleep? What's your songwriting process?
I'm asleep when he's asleep. I just sleep more than he does. I usually pick up a guitar. This guitar just kind of floats around our house in different rooms. And then usually I'll take it to a keyboard. I'm a little more proficient on keys and guitar, and kind of figure out structure that way. And then come up with lyrics, and then show it to him, and then he creates like the beat or the structure, and sometimes helps me restructure it too. But I think things really feel like ours once they kind of go, like his songs feel like his songs and my songs feel like my songs, and they're different.
Yeah.
But then once they kind of go through both of our filters, which for me is my voice and for him is the kind of beat writing and guitar playing, then they kind of start to feel like ours.
Yeah, exactly. They become No Kim.
They become No Kim.
Yeah.
And it's been a really fun process, and so we have like 8 songs that are kind of structurally sound right now, and then we kind of have all these other like acoustic tidbits that need to kind of get put through these filters to become solid.
But 8 songs is a full set.
Oh,
for the
we
for
have
the Kitty
a full
Cat Klub.
set for our set.
Yeah.
We definitely have a full set for our set.
Yeah. Oh, and you'll be joined by full sets from Good Doom and Val Sun. And CGW.
Yeah, he's gonna play some records.
Is gonna be DJing.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's gonna be an 8-song set.
Yeah.
From No Kim.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And tapes.
And not only tapes but CASSINGLEs.
CASSINGLEs, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. It'll all be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
The tapes will be there. Sounds like you'll be there.
I will be there.
Will
yes.
you be there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can hold me accountable.
That's great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I look forward, and you'll be there too, and we'll see you whoever you are. So the one of you, or the many of you.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The many of them.
The Kitty Cat Klub will be bursting at the seams.
Yes.
We'll look forward to that experience. It's going to be busy. Thank you very much. This has been Back to the City. Here are No Kim. Get used to No Kim. We'll see a lot of them.
Yes.
I look forward to talking about the new things that are happening with Hands on the full LP.
Yes.
When that exists.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I'll see you on Tuesday. This has been Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. That was fun.